Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited. We are now in episode 2, and I have a very amazing special guest that will be joining us today. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Earl Thomason.
Hey. Thank you for that, Maisha.
So just background, I met Earl my freshman year of college, and when we were in college, I just remember you, even just from my freshman year, you were very passionate about social justice. I believe you were studying political science.
Yeah.
I remember that you were on SGA, you held a lot of speeches on campus, protests, like you were very, very involved. So can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and where your passion for social justice came from?
Of course, man, I'm feeling old. It's been a few years now since our college days, but
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Excuse me. You see a lot growing up that gets normalized, and you think it's okay. And I really realized early on, a lot of it wasn't. You know, a lot of people didn't have parents, or fathers specifically. A lot of people were getting killed. A lot of people were getting into fights, a lot of police brutality. My first poem in 7th grade was about police brutality. So early on, I knew the need for change in our community, and I made it my business. And I was thinking about this earlier this week. I'm very spiritual, and I believe that God gave me a way of thinking that allowed me at a young age to just know and feel a sense of purpose in helping others always. So early on, I said, you know what, everything I do from now on, as I go through the phases of life, it's going to be to contribute to my culture and people as a whole. So that passion just came from my upbringing, came from being raised in a family that struggled, a mother who was a single parent most of the time. I had my stepfather around for a while. He was great, but once he left, it was just me, her, and my sister. So I grew up fast. I grew up just knowing that there's need for change. And that just stuck with me.
Last week, just a few days ago on Friday, you were out peacefully protesting with your organization. And, you know, I saw the videos all over the internet where you were peacefully protesting and you were arrested. But when I was listening to it, I heard a lady in the background as you were being released. I heard her say, "This is what heroes look like."
Let's go, get off the street. Let's go. Let's go. Let him go! Let him go! Let him go!
We're here for a good reason. Let's stay peaceful. Don't give them a reason to do anything to y'all. I don't want y'all arrested. I'm fine. Thank y'all for coming out. But we're here for George Flynn. So please go march for him and make sure his voice is heard.
He's coming right now. Let's go, babe. You okay?
So what was that whole entire experience like, and what did you learn from it, or what would you just like to share from that experience?
I was telling you for the interview that I haven't even watched most of the videos just yet because we're so just trying to do a lot of work right now. But I remember the moment very precisely, and I'm just thinking back now because I don't mean to. Actually, I do mean to be very intentional about saying that everything happens through God. I was arrested while literally just walking in the street with everybody else. It wasn't a moment where I was laying in the street and being outrageous. I wasn't causing a scene. I didn't plan it. It was literally a moment where a cop, as they started to walk down, because they were standing in one place and they wanted to just walk down and clear the streets. But we were all still in the street, everybody. But the cop just chose me to literally pick me out of the crowd while I'm doing nothing and peacefully protesting. And I instantly said, okay, it's gonna cause a scene, and you need to make sure people see this because I don't know what's gonna happen. So I told Jeanette, my partner in the Co-Chair Foundation of Freedom, to just capture everything. And when that happened, I wasn't aware of the way it would play out. I just knew I was representing more than just me. I had to make sure that I stood strong, that our message was still heard. And the whole time I just kept shouting, "No justice, no peace." And lo and behold, I mean, I expected Jeanette and my friends who were with me to probably try to figure out what's going on. For some reason, the entire crowd started moving with us, which was powerful. And I just kept going through the motions as I'm going. And I'm realizing that this is like becoming a moment, something that people are behind. They're saying, that he's not doing anything. And this is the whole point of this entire process in general. Our community faces police brutality, racial bias, all these different social justice issues all the time. And I was becoming a part of that. And I was grateful that it didn't get as bad as other situations, but the community just realized, we're not gonna let this happen again. And it became a moment that led to us being at the precinct. And I was telling the story, it's pretty funny because once we got the van out, or the cops got the van out and they got me to the station, I didn't think that people would find us at the station. Jeanette, and I'll shout out to Jeanette, she was trooping, and I see her coming down the block, she turns her head, and she's like, yeah, they're down that way. They come past, and I'm still in the van this time, and she stops. She's like, no, that's the van right there. Mm-hmm. They jump over the fence.
Wow.
To get into the station. And while this is happening, I'm talking to the cop while I'm in the car. I wasn't supposed to still be in the car, but I'm talking to him. I don't mean to get too long-winded, but I want to give you details. First time I'm really talking about it in an interview. I'm in the car with the cop, and two other cops who arrested me were actually outside of the car having a conversation. They were supposed to take me in already, but they didn't. While I'm in the car, I'm talking to the guy. I'm like, is this necessary? Like, I was in the street. Why'd you arrest me? He said, you had to be the first, what do they call it, tag or something like that? You had to be the first tag. Use the first one. And I'm like, is it necessary to have me in cuffs? Like, I'm like, what? My record is clean. I'm talking to him, trying to just figure out why are we going through all these motions. So you're going to get a summons. Don't worry about it. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? All right, summons. My record is clear. I'm okay. Yeah. I see them coming, and I'm like, oh, they're coming. You guys should. I'm telling him, I'm like, y'all should probably get me inside just to make sure it's not bad. So when they're coming, he's like, as long as they don't jump the fence, everything's fine. Because then that's trespassing. Then that's going to get bad. And then the rest of other stuff. And I'm like, okay, they're not even going to find us. When she found us and jumped the fence, I started begging him. I'm begging him, please just let me talk to them. Let me talk to them to calm it down, because it felt like they were going to really cause damage. I don't want to throw hypotheticals out there, but the way that they were gathered up and the amount of people that were there, it felt like it was going to be a scene. And I'm like, you know what? I'm fine. I need to show them that I'm okay and that we need to be here for George Floyd. Don't make this about me at all. Make this about the reason that we're here. I'm keep saying God, because this is how I can explain it. Mm-hmm. I'm begging him to let me speak. He's saying, we can't let you do that. That's not going to happen. I don't think they can let you do that. I don't know how the spirit moved him. He ended up asking his colleagues to let me speak. Wow. They ended up saying, you know what, just let him speak. When we're walking up to the crowd, he's like, you want to take your mask down? And I'm like, this is a little too much. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm like, whatever I'm about to say, it has to be on point, has to get to the point. It has to be the message that I know needs to get out. So I let God move through me, and the words came out. And that's what was said. When I got in, I was in there for about 2 hours in holdings and went through the whole process. Folks were already there. And they could hear the crowd outside protesting before I told them to just be peaceful and calm down. And they were excited. So I'm in there just talking to them, and then I get out before them. Wow. And it was because we had a community outside that stayed. I didn't know they stayed. They stayed and kept pressuring the police officers to let me out. At a certain point, one of the sergeants came inside and said, we have a simple collar, get him out of here. They're outside, get him out of here. Right before I left, just a fun fact, Khalif Browder's brother came in, who I actually know from doing a project with him about 1.5 years ago. He came in right before that. So they were arresting, I guess who they thought were leaders in this actual moment. Wow. To my understanding.
Speaking out in that way, you played as a voice of leadership and strength and comfort for all of those who were there. So I just wanted to say thank you, and don't let this discourage you. Keep going and continue to be encouraged, because you are a leader, and I believe that you will continue to make change now and even change to come where the generation after us will benefit from. So keep going, and I'm just very honored and inspired. So thank you.
Thank you, Maisha. I appreciate that.
Someone who is an activist and who is constantly speaking out boldly about racial injustice. How do you cope with the mental and emotional challenges or struggles that come with this?
I'm intentional about making sure I'm taking care of myself. And even knowing that, it's still sometimes I slip up. You can get drained really fast
Yes.
Your mental health can take a hit when you start seeing people that look like you get killed on camera consistently. It's a trauma that we end up just addressing at the moment where we're reactive, but it sticks with us in the back of our mind. And I think growing up, seeing it over and over again, certain things are normalized that we need to uncondition, and our mental health takes a hit. You start to get triggered, and things that shouldn't affect you in the way they do, they end up putting you in a space that makes people feel like they don't want to be around police officers or hear sirens or even do anything. Some folks go numb. Some folks end up saying, with so much going on, whether it's addressing police brutality, being in a pandemic and losing somebody, losing my job, my state needs to just be protected by going numb. And seeing that, witnessing that, just working for a creative agency that is in the space so much, it showed me, okay, if you're going to do this work, you have to be intentional about your self-care.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional around having people around you who love you, who speak positive into you, who have a certain energy. And I want to emphasize energy. I think a lot of folks don't understand how deep your mental health goes in terms of the folks you have around you. If you have people around you who are always complaining, who are always down, who are going through their own things, and there's no one in the group that's bringing positivity, and you're all just depressed and just really down on life, that energy is going to stay around. You have to keep a certain amount of people who can speak that life into you, who can bring that positivity into you, and you'll see the difference. I'm very intentional about self-care now. I am intentional about talking with Jeanette about things outside of the work we're doing, and just laughing and calling my grandparents and calling my mom and teaching her how to use Instagram and just doing things that bring positive energy and light into your life. And that outweighs the struggle. That in itself is a blessing, and has shown me that I am blessed to have love around me personally. And that it gives you an optimism that says, and this is me personally, I feel obligated to spread that. And that helps my mental health in itself. Just knowing that there is love because I'm around it, I see it. There is light at the end of whatever tunnel you're in, and witnessing that, being around that, it gives you enough gas to be like, let me see how far I can spread this positive message, or I can do this work while being fueled by everyone around me.
And speaking of having a team and those around you, and making sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that can speak life into you, and that can be a sense or a source of support and strength and positivity. This year, you and your team, you guys launched Foundation of Freedom.
Yeah.
So it's a nonprofit organization. Can you tell us, we want to hear everything, because I've seen just how much it's like you guys just started this year, and the growth, and it's just amazing. So can you just tell us all about it? What are you guys' goals, your missions? What do you guys do?
Yeah. So just stop me if I get too detailed, but I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start with the reason behind it. Last year, and like you said before, my whole life I've been trying to figure out ways of really effectively using my voice to create change. And when you see the cycle happen, it becomes difficult. You start to feel hopeless. And didn't stop me, but it put me in a space of thinking about a long-term strategy. Like what can we really do that's effective? What strategies have been used before that really were effective of the times, and how can we learn from their successes, mistakes, and build something that's aligned with that particular mission, which worked, and which will prevent all the other issues from happening consistently as they have been. So that put me in a space of studying, of really reading and learning, surrounding myself with certain folks, working at Soze, putting myself in that space that was divine as well. And when Nipsey Hussle died, and his message being economic empowerment, I was already diving into that space, but I got into it even more. And I said, we have to push this in a way that works. And working for a creative agency that produced large-scale social impact campaigns, I learned how creative campaigns work. I learned how influencers use their voice. I learned how it was organized. I learned the language, and I learned what worked and what didn't work. So I said, I need to use my skills personally to find an intersection that includes community values, because I feel like you have to have certain values in order to uphold a community, no matter what you're doing, but that also aligns with economic empowerment, with the tools of creative campaigns and the tools of outreach and everything I had learned. So realizing that I was still working, we were on tour, and we came back, went on a retreat, and after that I went on vacation. It wasn't until that vacation that I was able to listen to God and hear a little bit more and get some clarity and allow him to order my steps. When I got back from South Carolina visiting my grandmother, I instantly had to tell them, you know what, I have to do something bigger right now than myself. And I love that job. I love the people that I work with. And I would have done it if I didn't feel like it needed to happen right now. And something just put it in my spirit to say, organize, figure it out. And we are so much further than where we actually started with. We started with something that was in the same space, but smaller. And once I got the strategy, and once we sat down with Jeanette and Teresa and Vic, the board, and people I trusted, we really sat down, and I have a board right next to me. We bought boards. We came to my apartment. We went to a Black-owned restaurant, had a meeting there, and we started strategizing and came up with Foundation of Freedom with the mission of economically empowering our community, using activism, using education, centered around financial literacy and wealth building, and creative campaigns. That includes fighting using economic activism, using our Black economic agenda to push folks into positions of power that actually support us, no matter what party. Just reconditioning our minds to realize that in a capitalist society, our dollars speak the loudest. And the cycles will continue until we show that power. You see it in other communities so well. And I believed that if we did that, utilizing the tools I had learned, and implementing our values in every single thing in the most intentional ways, we could build a community, a coalition of value-aligned members that would be behind it, and that it can grow into something that can live beyond the trends, live beyond the reactions. Like right now, we're reacting to a death, as we should. But after this, the work continues. After this, we have to still learn, we have to still build, we have to still organize, we have to still pressure public officials, we have to still make sure we are on the same page. So just want to build something that lived beyond that. And we've grown so quickly, as you said, and I'm extremely proud, but I will say over and over again, it's God, because we didn't expect that a month after we launched, there would be a pandemic, and all of our potential partnerships that we had, and all the in real life activations that required people to be together would not happen. And when it did happen, we were like, okay, how do we utilize our skills now? Like, what is there to do now? Obviously, everybody goes digital. It's like, okay, that's cool, but like, how do we make sure we are effective in our work instead of saying we're just doing something? And then, Chris Caldwell, who I believe he said, you know what, bro, I'm doing well right now during the pandemic. I want to do something for the community. I want to deliver 100 meals. I'm going to pay for everything. I'm going to rent a car. Can you help me? We did that, spent the entire day doing it, and it moved me so much to see how much a meal, and I already knew this, but to even when you know things, the process still, that reaction, that emotion, was like, we need to do more. People aren't eating right now. And people who, we delivered food to people that we knew too, and people I thought of as, they're never going to go through anything. They're fine. They're strong. Wow. They were putting up posts like, y'all don't know what I'm going through right now. And this meal, this gesture, that compassion has moved me, and I'm in a better space today because my nephew, my friend, my cousin, this person delivered a meal to me, and it means that much. And knowing that, I'm like, okay, this is people we know who are saying this. So imagine folks we don't know.
Right.
Imagine folks who are homeless, the folks who are still working, the essential workers who aren't home as much, who are the front lines. How much more can we do? So that influenced me to say, you know what, let's put the entire organization behind this. I don't care what else we plan on doing. This is what we're doing right now. This is real, this is effective, and we're going to make it happen. And I pushed him because at first, I'll admit, Chris he hadn't worked for a creative agency. He hadn't seen like the power that we actually have. And I said 1,000 meals. I'm like, we need to get 1,000 meals out. We can do it. He said, listen, bro, I want to do it too, but 1,000 sounds crazy. So I worked with him, like, let's do 500 and we'll raise $2,500 because he spent 500 to do 100. So we did the math, that made sense. So we made a video, and we fundraised 3,600 in 3 hours.
Wow.
From a video. I didn't text anyone. I just put up a video. Power of social media. Power of social media. And now to date, we surpassed the 1,000 that God had put on my spirit. We've given food to over 2,400 people, funded $12,000, and are now making that one of our core initiatives. Actually one of our strategies in any initiatives that we do. So if we do something, if we're going to speak in Atlanta or Oakland, and people that we're going to, we know could use extra meal, we're going to try to make sure we partner with someone that can bring food.
Great.
The work has been great, and that support was beautiful. And I'll say this again, we didn't expect the next move. We didn't expect that we would have Ahmaud Arbery and then George Floyd, and then that we would be on the front lines again in a different way. And now I feel like we're in a space where people are saying, okay, who are you? Who are these guys? They're really serious. They're not joking. And we're about it. We're about everything we say we're about. And we're going to implement that as long as I have to say so, and our board and the team and our 100 founding members, as long as we have to say so, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we implement our values, that we are pushing the initiatives that we believe in, and that we do it with our full heart. And I'm really proud, and I'm trying to make sure I take care of my mental health even more now, because I realize the levels you go up, you have to be more intentional. People will, you'll get stretched out. And if you don't include yourself in your day and make sure you have time with yourself, I mean, personally, time with God, I wake up and pray, go to sleep, pray. I'm reading a few books on Bible and on relationship goals and using the Bible. I'm trying to be really intentional about having that build in my mind, body, and soul every day. And I think that creates a space where you are, given the strength to go tomorrow and keep doing the same work. So we're grinding, we're doing it with our full heart. I do not get paid to do what I'm doing. We don't have a full budget. I literally am doing this out of kindness of my heart since I haven't had financial security since last year, since I left. Since I left Soze.
You did leave your job, right?
Yeah. When I left my job, I didn't have thousands of dollars saved.
Wow.
So it was literally me jumping.
First of all, I'm proud of all of you guys and the work that you're doing. Just to jump back to the last thing you said, what was that transition like in leaving your job and opening up, starting your own organization? What was that transition like? What were the steps that you had to take? So you can just tell us more about that.
So I'll start by saying my mother is a prayer warrior. I was raised in the church. My stepfather was a preacher. So I take it upon myself as much as I can. If I say something, I'm going to be about it. I'm going to be all in. So that faith, that foundation of faith was already there. And when I said, you know what, I got to do it. I got to jump. We have enough for me to be comfortable in knowing that if I'm going to do this, I have to put my full self in. I can't do it part-time. Folks ask me, can you just do it part-time? Can you not, just jump right into this, be smart about it? And folks will do that. They'll project onto you. So that process was a lot of me deflecting projections, saying, you know what, I know your intention is out of love, but you're trying to put fear into my heart. And I know the calling right now. And I was so adamant, so strong in that. And I felt it so well that my faith just kicked in. So the entire process was uncertain, but that's what faith is. I walked in that strong, and I even officially joined Christian Cultural Center as a member just to make sure I was planted in God's word as I did this. In doing so, I just, like I said earlier, I made a space where I had everything I needed to just keep going. I had God, had the team, partner, and I had the faith that allowed me to say, you know what, no matter what happens, we're going to keep taking every day, one step at a time. And that is something I want to emphasize, because folks usually want to see the entire board before they make something happen.
Yeah.
They want to see everything that's going to happen. They want to make sure, okay, if that happens, this is how I'm going to play with it. This is how I'm going to make sure, I can get out if I have to. You have to jump. So every day was a jump. Every moment was a jump. Every conversation was me just taking the next step. And I learned that even before that moment. So just having that training, just even the way I got into grad school and the way the way I put together events before that, and a lot of stuff just gave me the training to say, you know what, just take one step and you'll get somewhere eventually. And trusting in God. So I knew that, and that process was consistently miracle after miracle, was consistently wow after wow. And the most powerful thing was to watch the folks around me become believers.
Wow.
To the extent that I was. And it was really a daily basis of like, how did you do that? Like, how do we have furniture? I'm going to be very vulnerable right now.
Mm-hmm.
I was working so hard at Soze and had just moved back into my apartment after years that I didn't even I didn't have furniture. Like, I didn't have much in my apartment. I ended up getting furniture from Spike Lee's company, Spike DB, as they were selling stuff from upstairs right before weeks before I left Soze. I knew I was leaving. I'm like, you know what? I asked God, I said, God, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have a space that really feels productive. I'm going to have to make my living room my office. I spoke to my best friend who was my roommate. I said, bro, I need to make the living room an office. Like, how do you feel about that? I said, yo, do your thing. I said, okay, cool. The week I said that, we had a house full of furniture I didn't pay for.
Wow.
House full of furniture I didn't pay for. That's just one testimony. I can go countless. Like, it's so much that I posted something recently saying I can't wait to just backtrack and present the testimonies.
Yes.
They keep happening. I know they're going to keep going as long as I have the faith I do. How the process was, without diving into each moment so much, it was really a step-by-step feeling like God is behind us. We're doing something that's righteous, that's for our culture, and that, you know, if you're going to do that and you keep taking the steps, you will see something play out. He will do his part.
Right.
And that's what happened. And that's how it's been. And we're here now because of that. And I feel like we're going to be even further because of it.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. And I'm sure you guys will come across challenges, but in those moments, you remember what he did for you last time and what he did before the time before that and the time before that again. And like, as you said, sometimes faith can be a lonely experience because faith says that we don't go by what we see, right? We go by what we hear from him. And so sometimes people may not understand, but I'm glad you were able to persevere and listen to what he told you, because look at the outcome already in less than a year. So I think that's amazing. And I'm confident that he will continue to provide for you and the organization. So I'm just very blessed by this. I'm very encouraged by this. So on my channel, we talk a lot about living fearlessly. And in this day and age, there's a lot of things that we can be fearful about, especially young Black men during a time like this. So what are some words of encouragement or motivation that you would give to any young man that may be watching this right now, who may be in a fearful place due to what he's seeing that's going on in society, or maybe he's just fearful of using his voice? What would you tell him?
I want to affirm anybody who's listening to this and who sees this, you are valuable. You have everything you need inside of you. You are positioned. You can utilize what you have, your experience, your creativity, in any way you can, to speak up, to do more, and to do what you believe you should be doing. I would stress that you should not be influenced by society telling you to stick in a bubble, to be a type of person, and emphasize the fact that you are the one that society listens to.
Yes.
You are the voice. So if you don't speak, if you're not at your job saying we need to focus on this because the whole world is on fire right now, and we're talking about, you're asking me how my weekend went. You should be aware, and that's your voice, and to learn more about how powerful you actually are, because we are strong. We hear the speeches all the time, right? We get the lessons, the Carmichaels, the X's, and Dr. Kings, and we see all these folks that we're taught about. But they were regular people. I
really genuinely want to say thank you for not only doing this interview, but everything that you are doing in our community. You are valued, you are seen, you are heard, and I'm just very grateful for the work that you and your team are doing yet again. And so can you just tell those who are watching where they can find you and your organization on social media or on your website, and what are some ways that we can donate or support the organization?
Yeah, I'll first say thank you for having me on your platform. I think this is great, and love what you're doing too. So, you have our support whenever we can. But yes, for anybody who wants to help out, we have our website is offreedom.org. That's OFFREEDOM.org. Our handles are ofreedom.org on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, so you can follow us. And there are several ways you can be a part of it. You can be a member, you can join. We welcome all people. We don't think of it as something that can be done, our mission can be done alone. We are intentional about making sure our voices are heard. We are on the front lines and we're the face of it, but we know other communities, other allies, other anti-racists need to be a part of it so that they can go back to their communities and say, okay, let's support Black business as well. Anyone can be a member if your value and vision align, and our values and our vision are on our website. Those are just a few ways you can help us out and where you can find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Earl. And thank you for everyone who watched this. Please do your best to support their organization. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or to Earl. And just thank you again for watching, and remember to live fearlessly.